Setting problem motivation with 3 points. Refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize. Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness Dalai Lama, and all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas in the space in front of you, as so loving, caring, and embracing. And likewise, for the Bodhicitta field, visualize your two kind parents and all your feminine members, including your children, and all other demon sentient beings, the human beings, animals, insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, god and goddesses, spirits, leaving them aside, everyone around you. And here you are like the mother, so loving, caring, embracing. And the whole purpose of this practice is to awaken this Buddha nature within us by remove the mental dirts. And these mental dirts are of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross one referred to as the afflictive obscurations, the presence of which stops us from attaining the total fearlessness, referred to as nirvana, and the subtle ones, which stops us from attaining infinite happiness, referred to as the Buddhahood. And to remove this, we need to know the nature of the mental defilements. The nature of the mental defilements, we see that they are all related to this self-grasping ignorance. Somehow, either self-grasping ignorance per se, or it giving rise to its offshoots in the form of the gross afflictions, or the subtle stains that it leaves in the form of cognitive obscurations. And for all these, the remedy lies in the non-dual wisdom of emptiness. And this wisdom of emptiness is possible only through through meditation, and which in turn is possible only through gaining conviction in what emptiness is, for which it requires extensive study and learning of the wisdom of emptiness. So therefore, the three wisdoms in progressively becoming subtler and progressively to be cultivated. Wisdom derived through learning, wisdom derived through reflection, and finally the wisdom derived through meditation. So this whole purpose, and this wisdom must be complemented by the incredibly powerful enthusiasm of, or the motivation of the Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, wishing to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, to remove all the mental defilements. And this Bodhicitta must be supported by renunciation, the desire to get away from the miseries that you feel, that you can foresee in existence because of being under sway of the contaminant karmas and afflictions. And this you extend to all the other beings, culminating in the Bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind of Bodhicitta. So with this in mind, imagine that you are leading this practice and all sentient beings are joining you, and all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas are watching us with so much love, care, and attention. And just with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And just with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And just with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Juda Zogi Dane Yazoje Dage Jinso Kebe Tsonamgi Dola Penjire Sangye Dubareshu Sangye Juda Zogi Chonamla Chanjo Bardo Dane Yapsuj Dage Jinso Kebe Tsonamgi Dola Penjire Sangye Dubareshu Sanje Joda Soge Chonam La Chanju Pardo Dane Kyapsuj Tage Jinso Kebe Sonam Ge Dola Penjir Sanje Drubare Sho. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming and no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is freedom of elaborations. Mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, which through the knowledge of the law leads hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, which through the knowledge of paths force those helping men to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of which help subdue and expand a varieties of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated partisans to benefit sentient beings. No. Okay. Where are we reading? Oh. Om ye dharma heto prabhavam hetum tejam dathagato yavatat tejam chayo nirodham evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. All phenomena are reversed in causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite, such as the nectar that Dharma I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching in silence or return to the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. Is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times are obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the suffering. All phenomena of the nature, emptiness, and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dhamma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. Go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expansive billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine light of Dharma for all within me. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Praise to Buddha Shakyamuni, page 14. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, full awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I persuade, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you are born on this earth, you pace out 7 strides, and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With a supreme sun's face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus be like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dhamma that pacifies so prostrate. Those are liberated and also show the path to liberation. The holy feel qualified with realizations, are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the Sangha, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is a teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through this marriage, may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the 4 faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 29, Heart Sutra. I prostrate to the irretrievable gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Buddha was dwelling on the mass of Vulture's mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those 5 aggregates also as the inherent nature. Then through the power of the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, how should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom train? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Sharitvatiputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly, holding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composing factors, and consciousness empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composite factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no phenomenon. There's no I element and so on, up to no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There's no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there's no suffering, origination, cessation of path. There's no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the 3 times also manifestly completely awaken, unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, Asavas mantra, mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared, Yatha Om Gade Gade Bara Gade Bara Samgade Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. And the Buddhas who rose from the concentration commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as he indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharitvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Aravadukiteshvara, who surrounding the entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, and asuras and Gandharvas, overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Buddha. Om Gade Gade Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyatam Om Gate Gate 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 Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvatyatam. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels, possessing the power of truth, may any and outer hindrance be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be non-existent, may they be pacified, may all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 of seals be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma, may auspicious and perfect happiness pervade this place now. 8 verses for training the mind, page 35. By Geshe Thangpa. With the determination to achieve the highest aim, for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may I hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may I view myself as the lowest among all, and from the very depth of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind, and as soon as material and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. When I see beings of unpleasant character and those oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, I hold them dear at all times, as though I discovered a jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone on whom I place great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him soon as my precious teacher. In brief, may offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all these remain undefiled by the stains of the eight mundane concerns, and may recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. From my two collections, vast the space that I've amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds rest minds blinded with ignorance. 7th practice, the next page, page 37. I bow down to the youthful Arya Manjushri. You, the Buddhas, the lions amongst humans, gone to freedom in the present, past, and future, in the worlds of 10 directions. To all of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down. With energy or aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, to all you Buddhas visualize as real, I bow down. On every atom of the Buddha's number is his particles. Each atom is a host of Bodhisattvas. I am confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with the Buddhas in this way. With the infinite ocean of praise for you, an ocean of sound from the aspects of my voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you Sugandhas. Beautiful flowers and regal garlands, sweet music, scented oils and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense, offer to victorious ones the Buddhas. Fun dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder heaped high as Mount Meru, all wondrous offerings and spectacular array, offered to victorious ones. With transcendent offerings, prayers and vows, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strength of my conviction their Bodhisattva way, offer and bow down to all victorious ones. Every harmful action I've done with my body, speech, and mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and ignorance, all this I openly lay bare before you. I lift my heart and rejoice in all the merit of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions, of solitary realizers. You who are the bright lights of the worlds in 10 directions, who attain the Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening. All you are my guides, please turn the supreme will of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request you who may actualize parinirvana. Enveloping of all the wonders in samsara. Whatever slight merit I may have accumulated by making prostrations, offering and confessing, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddha's teach, I now dedicate all this for the full awakening of all the beings. Which is material offering. This ground anointed with perfumes, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. O Sajibya May I be blessed that my mind is directed towards the Dharma. May I be blessed that my Dharma practices on the proper path. May I be blessed that the path is free of flaws. And may I be blessed that the flaws are seen in the light of exalted wisdom. Becoming utterly frustrated with ignorance, seeing all aspects of samsara as viciously repulsive. Please bless me that my mind overflows with the precious bodhicitta that cherishes others more than myself. Please bless me to have an immaculate experience of the wisdom of emptiness that does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality on the basis of understanding how things come into being by dependent origination and through mere conditioning. Please bless me that my mind should overflows with the precious wisdom of the non-duality of bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Rana Mandalagam Niratiyami. The foundation of all good qualities, the next page. This roadmap to Buddhahood. The foundation of all good qualities is our kind and perfect Guru. To him is the Guru path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please best rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless Buddha generate the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly decays and death comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtues or non-virtues come and follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativity and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great cushion arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so fall mother migratory beings. Please bless me to say this, train in supreme bodhicitta, and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if I've developed bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I'll not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I have pacified distractions through wrong objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly with my mind strength the unified part of karma abiding, especially inside. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the fortunate ones, the Supreme Lordship vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the 2 attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pleasures like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the 2 stages, lessons of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never give up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who showed the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all out any inner hindrances. A normal life, never separated from perfect Gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of stages of the paths, may quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Nisama mantra. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-referential compassion, and Manjushri, master of the flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroy hordes of demons without exception. Sanghabha, crown jewel of the sages, the land of snows, Lobsang Tapa, at her feet and make prostrations. Sovade Shabla Sovade. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-referential compassion, a magician, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani destroys hosts of demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages, ladder of snows, Losan Taba, aid your feet and make frustrations. Okay, now generating Mara Consummate Yoga, the Thamje Nijusim Kepa, the 4 practices, and the inner life. All these recitations, of course, these are means to activate, nourish our practice. At the same time, the real practice should be these 4 things. Single point of meditation, renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness. Okay, so let's not forget this and see in that inner life. Because sometimes you can be very busy or for whatever reason, there can be some excuses. Otherwise, they just see that for a growth, to actually go to the state of fearlessness and infinite happiness, to make sure that your life has a greater meaning. These are the 4 points that we have to include. So when some people, in fact, like myself, when I was in my younger days, like 20s, 30s, there are a lot of recitation, so many things, sadhanas, so many readings, and then no time actually, by the time to practice, actually meditate, you're already exhausted. So the reading in these things, not make it too bulky, make it very concise, but what are really required, they're included, and then not to miss the actual practice, actually these meditations. And of course, not to compromise your studies and reflections. Okay, so that is mind, single point of meditation, the first for the shamatha practice, 5 minutes. Ready? And we should be very careful with the errors of meditation, which are mental laxity and mental excitement. We should make sure that we don't fall prey to these 2. And yes, of course, it's not that we'll be totally free of these 2 things. The moment you sense that these 2 things are coming, then resort to the remedies. What are the 2 remedies? Introspection and mindfulness. Good. Okay, 5 minutes. Ready? Okay, slowly come out of the meditation. Okay, next, renunciation. At the practice of renunciation, you will lay down the base of the four seals of the Buddhist teachings. Ready? Okay, this is going to be analytical meditation. And okay, today we'll try the first two seals, not as guided. You engage in the analytical meditation on your own. I will simply cite the lines, and when I cite the first line, the first renunciation, you think what a renunciation is, and then gradually I'll move to the first line, which is all composite things impermanent. We reflect on this, and after about like 2 minutes, I'll cite the second line, all contaminated things suffering nature. You take your time, slowly wind up your earlier the first line meditation, and you gradually move to the second. And then when I move to the third emptiness part, I will give the instructions. Ready? Renunciation, the meaning of the renunciation. All composite things impermanent. All contaminated things are suffering nature. Everything is of nature, emptiness, surfaceness. Okay, how can we bring an end to all these miseries, agonizing miseries? He is bringing an end to the cause of miseries. The Buddha indicated, Ye dharma hetu prabhava, hetum desham tathagato hyavatat. So how to bring an end to the cause of miseries? Causes of ultimate cause of miseries is self-grasping ignorance. And the ignorance, the counterforce, the only counterforce is the wisdom. We need to introduce the light of the wisdom. What is that wisdom? The deciding mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? This is what the Buddha indicated as everything is nature, emptiness, selflessness. Okay, let's quickly meditate on emptiness, selflessness, on the US object of the analysis. What are you doing? I'm meditating. What is body doing? My body is in meditative posture. And how does this person know who you identify, who identifies the self? How does this person appear to you? As object real, or like a dream that mind is projecting it? And of course, that's so real, subject real. Nothing to do with my mental projection. This belief, this apprehension of the self as subject real, this is self-grasping ignorance. How do you know that this is not a valid mind? Instead, this is ignorance. How do you know that? To evaluate if the self does exist the way it appears, the way it is the way it appears, and where it is apprehended by the self-grasping ignorance, we need to employ the ultimate analysis. Remember what Arjuna taught in Ratnamala, or the Precious Garden. If the mirage were the water, when all those close by the mirage see water. If the self were to exist objectively, why don't I see the self as a closest object? Okay, now there's closest object by subjecting self to ultimate analysis. But this is what you see is just first, okay, whatever is not the self, objective self, we just ignore. We're looking for the objective self. First, what we see is the thin layer of the skin. Behind that, the fatty tissues. Behind that, the whole bone, whole skeleton, the heart, the lungs, the spleen, pancreas, stomach, gallbladder, liver. All the solid parts, they constitute the element of earth, and the element of earth. None of the element of earth is this objective self. What's next? And in the water, 4 liters of blood, which is pumped in and out by the heart to different parts of the body. Of course, that is not me. Element fire, the 2,500 joules of energy that a body has. Of course, the body heat is not me. Element of air, 4.6 liters of air that you breathe in and out through your lungs to different parts of the body. That is also not me. Element space, 99.99% of the body is space. The space occupied by the electrons, protons, neutrons, so small as compared to the space between these elementary particles. So essentially, we are like the space. But I'm a solid person. The space is vacuum in nature. If the element space is also not me. What is left now? Element of consciousness or the mind is left. And even the element of mind is also not me. I'm a male, I'm a female. The mind does not have a gender. Gender is posited on the basis of the body. And also that people can see me, people cannot see my body, see my mind. So this element of mind, element of consciousness is also not me. Keep that aside. What is left now? Nothing's left there. So what you see, I see just these 6 elements. Which of 6 elements is this? Is to identify as the self, is to be identified as intrinsic one with the self, which means to be identified as the objective self. None of the 6 elements should be identified with the objective self. Okay. If you understood this, you understood the second essential, that the self is not to be identified, is empty of being intrinsically one with its parts. So now let us see if this exists as intrinsically different from its parts, keeping aside all the parts, all the atoms, all the 6 elements. What is left there as different from the 6 elements? Nothing is left there as a self different from the 6 elements. If you understood this, this is in lieu of understanding the self being empty of, intrinsically different from its parts. Okay, now from the object, what is there as the self? Where is there as the self? Nothing to be identified as self from the object. From the object, the self is empty. Stay in this experience for a while. In this experience, non-affirming negative. In the form of non-affirming negative, stay in this experience. Okay, this is an amazing experience, but what's the benefit of this meditation? It's so profound, but what's the benefit? Yes, just as the self is, when subject to ultimate analysis, it is seen to, you are seen to see the real nature of the self. That the self is empty of objective existence. Likewise, if you subject this self, if you subject all your sorrows, sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, to the same ultimate analysis, we see that just as self disappears to discover that the self is empty of objective existence, all the sorrows will also be discovered. Discovering its true nature, their true nature, that they're empty of objective reality. So here, instantly you feel that the sorrow, you transcend the sorrow. This is what everybody's seeking, the absolute peace. Your mind will instantly feel absolute peace which we have never experienced before. This is known as the fourth seal. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Just try to build this wish, generate this wish that may I be able to experience this emptiness where all my miseries dissolve, all my sorrows are transcended. This aspiration that you generate now is the actual understanding of renunciation. While renunciation has many levels of understanding, very gross ones, where you transcend your miseries. Next, where you transcend your afflictions and contaminant karmas. Next, where you transcend your self-grasping ignorance. And finally, where you experience emptiness, where all these sorrows dissolve and sorrows are transcended. And in the moment the sorrow is transcended in this experience of emptiness, extremely light feeling of the absolute peace dawns in you. That aspiration to experience this emptiness, where all sorrows are transcended, this aspiration is known as the final understanding of renunciation. Stay in this experience of renunciation for a while. This renunciation is the final benchmark for your being a spiritual journey follower, or someone who's following the spiritual path. This is the final understanding as to what a spiritual practitioner means, who's on the journey to enlightenment. Okay, slowly come out of this practice, and let's take a few seconds rest before we move to Bodhicitta. Are you ready? Okay. This Bodhicitta practice is extremely precious. For that matter, let us invoke the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the space in front of us. So loving, caring, embracing. And for whom you generate Bodhicitta is all the dear sentient beings, your parents, your children, your family members, and all the sentient beings living on the other side, animals, insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, spirits, god and goddesses, everyone here in Thosamling, in your own country, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. Everyone is with you, and you inspire them to practice Bodhicitta to get to the ultimate state of happiness. We're going to do this practice on the basis of the 4 mesh balls. And at times you may feel the practice a little superficial. It doesn't matter. This is the meaning of the practice. If it is not at all superficial, then it's not practice. So what do we need to practice? Practice means we have started something which is not naturally occurring, which we call as superficial, and eventually it becomes real. Then you'll feel the benefit that it really takes you a very different plane of reality of immense happiness and joy, immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness? Causes of happiness primarily consisting of the wisdom of emptiness, the most fearless wisdom of emptiness, and the most beautiful mind of the unconditional love for the Bodhicitta. May all my dear mother sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear mother sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the cause of happiness. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing that you're making such a courageous commitment, like the mother after all these many years of hardship in raising her children. Today, the eldest daughter, just age 12, and the eldest son, age 11, they come to the mother, telling the mother, "Mother, please take rest. You have done everything for us. You love so much, love us so much. You have done everything for us. Now we are there to take care of you. We'll take care of all our siblings." And the mother could not believe her eyes and ears. Extremely proud and happy today. This is exactly what all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas feel towards you, that they feel so proud of you. Over you taking the responsibility for all the dear sentient beings. This pride and happiness all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas experience invoke the compassion of omniscient minds to send forth nectar that is soothing light to all the sentient beings. The mere touch of light and nectar with the bodies and beings yours instills in all happiness and causes happiness in the minds of sentient beings yourself. And you're witnessing such a miracle that's happening to us all the different sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Next, immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. The causes of suffering primarily consisting of self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude, and along with their offshoots in the form of inappropriate attention, gross afflictions, and the contaminant karmas, and alongside the subtle stains in the form of karmic obscurations. May all my dear mother sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. I will take the responsibility that all my dear mother sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing that we make such a courageous commitment, they intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke the compassion of omniscient minds to send for nectars of soothing light towards you and all dear sentient beings. The mere touch of lights and nectars with the bodies beings yours washes away all the miseries and causes of miseries from you and from all dear sentient beings. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening to us all the dear sentient beings. You are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. next immeasurable joy. How good would it be that all my demon sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the cause of the happiness of beings endowed with. May all my dear mother sentient beings never be separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they're endowed with. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear mother sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the cause of happiness that they're endowed with. The Buddhist Bodhisattvas witnessing that you make such courageous commitment, the intensely happy and proud of you. Despite the happiness invoked, the compassion of omniscient minds with central nectars of soothing light towards you and ultimate sentient beings. The mere touch of last nectars with the beings and you stabilizes the happiness and causes the happiness the beings endowed with. And you witnessing such a miraculous happening towards all ultimate sentient beings, you are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sound the relief. Immeasurable equanimity. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment towards some and aversion towards others, and instead abide in the great state of equanimity, embracing all other dear sentient beings equally, leaving none aside. May all my dear sentient beings be free from the biased attitude of excessive attachment towards some and aversion towards others. I'll take the responsibility that all dear sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment towards some and aversion towards others. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing the you make such a courageous commitment, the intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke their compassionate omniscient minds to ascend for nectars of the soothing light towards you and ultimate sentient beings. The mere touch of light nectars with the bodies of music yours washes over all the biases of the beings and instead making them abide in the great state of equanimity, embracing all other dear sentient beings equally with love and affection, leaving none aside. And you witnessing such a miraculous happening towards all of the sentient beings, you're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sound with relief. Underscoring all the four immeasurables is unconditional love to all human sentient beings. Just abide in this experience of the unconditional love. Visualizing, imagine that you are looking at the eyes of each of the human sentient beings with so much love and affection, care, attention, concern, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. With folded hands, let us make a Bodhicitta commitment together. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Abide in this, the courageous mind of the most beautiful mind that possibly exists in this whole universe, the Bodhicitta. Slowly transform this beautiful mind, Bodhicitta, into a spotless, clean moon disk. Spotless, clean, white moon disk, horizontally sitting on your heart. Okay, that's amazing that you made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha. But how come that you can become Buddha? No matter how much you squeeze a handful of sand, no oil come out of that. Yes, that's true, but I'm not like a handful of sunflowers. I'm not like a handful of sand, but instead I'm like a handful of sunflower seeds, squeezing which oil does come out. I have Buddha nature within me. But how come that you have not become Buddha till now, since time immemorial? That's true. So far, I've been deceived by the two demons, self-grasping, ignorance, self-centered attitude. Today, I'm disillusioned by these two. I will do everything to exterminate the two demons. What are you going to do? I'm going to resort to a very powerful remedy. What is that? The wisdom of emptiness, the non-dual wisdom of emptiness. Okay, let us quickly retrieve the experience with emptiness, which we did it as the third seal of the four seals. What are you doing? I'm meditating. And you know that how does this self appear to you? As objective real or as subjective real? Of course, as subjective real. That belief is the self-grasping ignorance. How do I know this? Remember what Nagarjuna said? If the mirage to be water were not those clothes, but the mirage see water. If the self would exist objectively, why do not see the self as a go close to its object? Now let us go closer to its object by subjecting the self to ultimate analysis. Subjecting the self to ultimate analysis, we end up seeing just the six elements: and earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness. Okay. What is seeing now? I'm just seeing the six elements. What is the self? Which of the six elements to be identified as intrinsic one with the self? None is to be identified as the self. If you understood this, you've understood the understanding the emptiness of objects being intrinsic one with its parts. Okay, now second possibility, second option. If the self still you still think that the self exists objectively, then the second option lies in the fact that the self should be intrinsically different from its parts, different from the six elements. Remove the six elements, what is there? Left is different from the six elements. Nothing is left there. Now from the object, where is there to be identified as the self? Nothing to be identified as the self there. Okay, the self simply dissolves. This is what you are discovering. This is not what you're inventing. This is not what your mind is exaggerating or refining. This is what you're discovering. That self is empty from the object. Stay in this experience for a while. Slowly transform this fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness into a spotlessly clean white Vajra, thumb-sized white Vajra, vertically sitting on the Bodhicitta heart. Okay, that's amazing. Now you have the moon, that's symbolic of the conventional Bodhicitta to remedy this self-centered attitude. And a Vajra is symbolic of the ultimate Bodhicitta, the non-dual wisdom of the Arya Bodhisattvas, to exterminate all the mental defilements, be it afflictive obscurations or the carnal obscurations. Amazing. So the set of these two, the Vajramoon guarantees that you're going to experience the Buddha nature in its full form, in the form of complete enlightenment, Buddhahood, where you reach the state of total fearlessness and infinite happiness. Yes, I'm so fortunate. But let us not forget that your two parents, your children, and all demon sentients, they're suffering. Yes, generate very strong compassion towards all the beings, all the demon sentient beings. This strong compassion invoke the Vajramoon in the heart, multiply infinite number of times. Share one set of the Vajramoon with your mother at the heart, one set of Vajramoon with your father at his heart, one set with each one of your children, each one of your family members, each one of the human beings here in Thosamling, hungry ghosts, hell beings, insects, animals, god and goddesses, spirits in Thosamling, and each of the sentient beings in the world, in the entire universe. Okay, that's amazing. You've been extremely kind, so loving, so caring, that you shared this Vajramoon with all the demon sentient beings. Amazing. At the same time, let's not forget that all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas that are watching us. Why not we request all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas to be the guests and to be the witness to our undertaking the aspiration Undertaking the ceremony of the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. As suggested, making the request, along with all the other sentient beings, let's slowly stand and make 3 prostrations to all the Bodhisattvas. Okay, let us turn to page 50. So this ceremony of taking aspiration Bodhisattva vow, and as I said yesterday, that anyone is entitled to take this aspiration Bodhisattva vow ceremony. And there's no special commitment. It's not necessary that you should be Buddhist. And as long as you can make a commitment that that from today onwards, I'll try to be kind with other people, and I will not harm others. This much, if you can commit yourself, you're entitled to take this aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Okay, with this in mind, let us reinforce the visualize all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, so loving and caring, the way and the manner in which you as a young tender girl, young tender boy, for the first time in your life, at the age of 5, you are making public appearance on behalf of your school, and your parents are so proud of you, and they leave everything behind to join as in the audience, waving their hands to you, reassuring you that they are there to give you moral support. They are so proud of you. This is exactly what all the Buddhas Bodhisattvas are feeling today. They are so happy today, and that you, as the eldest, the child of the family, you encourage all the siblings to join you in this performance. This is exactly what you're doing, to encourage all the dear sentient beings to take part in this ceremony, so that they will undertake this journey of enlightenment. So with this mind, in the process of taking this ceremony, if you feel pain in your legs, you sit in the most comfortable position. Okay, so with this in mind, let's try to remember the meanings there. I'm not going to repeat the meanings. These are pretty self-explanatory. And imagine that you are leading this practice, and all the sentient are joining us through your inspiration, and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas feeling so proud, and with total focus, they are observing what you're doing, what you and all the sentient are doing. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. The next 2 verses are the ceremony, and with the completion of the 3rd recitation of the next 2 verses, just feel the joy of having received the vow. Just feel that you've received the Bodhisattva vow, and you just feel the joy. Gurus, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the amount of Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will dwell in the amount of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully train in the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the amount of Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will dwell in the amount of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully train in the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Mind of Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will dwell in the mind of Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully train in the Bodhisattva practices. Feel the joy of having received the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Very fortunate, extremely fortunate. And the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they feel so proud of you today after all these many in the innumerable lifetimes that they've been only hearing bad things about you, only seeing that you are always engaged in negative comments. And today you are doing something very, very, very different, extremely worthwhile, extremely virtuous. They're so proud. And despite the happiness of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, invoke the Vajramon in the full-fledged form that they have to multiply infinite number of times. Like rain shower, they descend to merge with the one that visualize in your heart, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized and blessed. Likewise, all these replicas of Vajramon from the Buddhas Bodhisattvas, they descend to merge with the one that visualizes at the heart of your mother, at the heart of the father, at the heart of each one of your children, each of the sentient beings in the entire universe, the animals, insects, honeybees, hell beings, god and goddesses, spirits, the human beings, everyone, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized and blessed. This is amazing. This guarantees that all the beings are going to no more suffer in samsara. They'll experience a total fearlessness, no fears from any form of miseries. And on top of that, they experience the expansive infinite happiness. This is amazing. This is the greatest gift that we're making to all the demon sentient beings. And today you made it. And this is the greatest offering. And the Buddha very clearly indicated that one moment of generated compassion far excels the offering of the whole universe filled with gems stored by the Bodhisattvas. If this were the case, what I mentioned of our having taken the Bodhisattva vow, the heightened state of compassion, practice of compassion. So this is the greatest offering, and today you made this offering to all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. And of your life, the last 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 60 years, what have you been done? And today, what you've done is the most meaningful. You have given a great meaning to your life. And today, this is what you've done. This great meaning, the meaning that you have given to your life. This is amazing. So all these things are happening because of the kindness of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. As a gesture of thanking all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, along with all demon sentient beings, again, that is slowly stand to make 3 prostrations to all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. Okay, please take your seats. Sit comfortably. Okay, let us turn to page 51. The first verse to be connected with this practice in the future lifetimes, the very precious practice. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassion Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Okay, page 51. Page 51. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. In order to further increase this bodhicitta from now on, those with discernment who have lucidly seized and awakened the mind of bodhicittas in this way, to try praise in the following manner. Today my life has borne fruit. Having well obtained this human existence, I've been born in the family of the Buddhas and now I'm one of Buddha's children. Thus whatever actions I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied trace. Just like a blind man discovering a jewel in a heap of rubbish, likewise by some coincidence, an awakened mind is a supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death, is an inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world. is the supreme medicine that quells the world's disease, is the tree that shelters all beings wandering and tired on the path of conditioned existence, is the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth, is the dawning moon of the mind that dispels the torment of disturbing conceptions, is the great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world, is the quintessential butter from the churning of the milk of the Dharma. For all those guys traveling on the path of conditioned existence, who wish to experience the boundaries of happiness, this will satisfy them with joy and actually place them in supreme bliss. Today, in the presence of all the protectors, I invite the world to be guests at a festival of temporary and ultimate delight. May gods and demigods all be joyful. Okay, this is a practice. So today what we did is like a complete practice. I know that many of you are very interested to extract a meaning out of life, a greater meaning out of life. For that matter, it requires consistency in your practice. Consistency. It's not like just attend a retreat, take part in the whatever program conducted, and then once you leave, you forgot. This should not be the way. This is not the meaning of extracting meaning out of your life. So we should be doing something. Finally, once you know where the Mount Everest is, then to enjoy Mount Everest, you have to walk towards it. Always saying that that is Mount Everest, this Mount Everest, it will never take you closer to Mount Everest. We have to walk. So what is that? What is this? The metaphor? Walking towards Mount Everest. There's doing some practice every day, reading, and once in a while you may get lost somewhere. You go close to the Mount Everest, and then you may get trapped in some hotels somewhere, right? So no, there's Mount Everest there. So that will be done through more extensive studies. Extensive studies will constantly remind you that, okay, don't forget the Mount Everest. And it will give you better and better the roadmap to the Mount Everest, clarity to where it is. So extensive studies, reflection, not to be compromised while making the practice. But the practice must be done on a daily basis. What we did today, that is a complete practice. So it doesn't matter whatever tradition that you're following, say the Theravada tradition, Chinese tradition, Tibetan tradition, within Tibetan, Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gyulu, believe it or not, if you do this practice and you meet with any accomplished teachers from any tradition, Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gyulu, any tradition, they will be so happy to see that. In fact, this is what happened once one of my friends, and who has been a devout practitioner and who has been reciting, there's lots of things that he used to recite every day, like 3 hours a day. And after 20 years, he came to me, after 20 years, and he told me that, Geshe, now I have my personal experience last 20 years. Last 20 years, I have been extremely devout in this practice and devoted to this practice, doing this recitation for like 30 years. I can see that now confidently, the confident I can say that I've not transformed at all. My mind remains just the same. 20 years. Where did I go wrong? This is what he said. I said, okay, fine. You have discovered it. You have discovered a very important thing. Now, what you do is that you give me a list of what you've been doing. What you call is Dharma practice. Just give me a list. He gave me a lengthy list. This is a total 3 hours a day, every day. He gets up so early in the morning. And then I cut down many of these recipes, make it like 10 minutes. From 3 hours, make it 10 minutes. And I asked him to add these practices. Single body meditation, renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom and emptiness. And after about like 1 month, he tells me that this 1 month far excels the experience of the last 20 years. So this is where we can go wrong. And some people, they just simply say, oh, this is your commitment, this reading, this you have to recite this, you have to recite this, and then you have like 2-3 hours of recitation. And then by the time it's for your practice, actual meditation, your energy exhausted, finished. You don't have energy left. So therefore, reciting these things, make it short but very concise, comprehensive. And the actual practice should be done. So meanwhile, study, reflection should not be compromised. Okay, let's do the direction prayer. So what I'm saying is that this practice, which we did, this one, the recording is there. You can take the recording with you. You can ask for the recording from Venerable Samula and from Thosamling, and also the Tibet house. You can ask for the recording. They will be happy to give the recording. And
it's going to be uploaded onto some YouTube channels. So
it's going to be available for everyone. So you just, if you don't know how to check it, just ask office. So how do they go about the watching it? Okay. So with this, this is like what the say. It's a complete. And if you do it on your own, it may not take like 1.5 hours. So because in group, it always takes longer than when you do it on your own. So when you do it on your own, you can even shorten some of the practices. And in fact, I've compiled the 3 versions. What you can do, the lengthy version, which is like 1 hour to 1.5 hours, and the middle version, which is about like 30 minutes, and the short version, which is like 10 minutes. I've compiled these 3 there, and this is not in the form of the teachings, but in the form of the written texts. So if you're interested, I'll be happy to give that to you. Just let me know. Otherwise, I can give it to Thosamling. Thosamling can upload it on your website, and people who are interested, they can download that. Okay. Sorry, your name again?
Geshe.
Okay, Shirley, tell me.
When we do the aspirational vow,
Yeah.
what is the significance of kneeling on the right knee?
Okay, right knees. So this is like, again, this is the receptivity, saying that I'm serious. These are all the just conventions of the conventions, saying that I'm very serious. So, for example, you go to to meet with, for example, the queen, now the king, and so forth. There are all these protocols there. These protocols are to what? To tell you that this is not an ordinary meeting. This is a very important meeting, right? So human beings, our mind is so weak. We need to remind us, we need indications to say that this is a serious thing. You're getting it? This is a serious thing. So these are the gestures as conventions to automatically instill in us a feeling that this is a serious thing that I'm doing. Yeah, but you're good. Dedication prayer. I dedicate the matters thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the doctrine of scripture and insight. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. From my 2 collections, vast the space that I've amassed from working with effort in this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom is blinded by ignorance. Deota Om Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gate Paragate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. Okay, through prostrations.